Hello, Rosalind. Rosalind, did you get the minutes document?
Did get the minutes document. I got that open here. Are you able to, um, in terms of the members in attendance, are you able to grab that from the Zoom, or would you like me to manually
We will get that
count
from this.
that, please? No. Thank God. Okay, thank you.
We are live, waiting for attendees to come in.
And we'll get started in just a moment once folks get settled on into the Zoom room. And again, welcome folks. We're going to get started in just a moment. Looks like I am having technical issues briefly, but looks like you can hear me. We'll get started in just a couple minutes. We are ahead of schedule, so we'll get started right at 2 p.m. Central. I'm not going to go through all of the time zones because I don't feel like it at this moment. But we'll get started right around 2 p.m. Central, just about a minute.
We do have daylight savings time this weekend, so that will screw up everything.
Then I'll have to relearn all my time zones all over again. Just kidding. They're all the same. Nope, they're not. They're not actually. Some folks don't observe it. And I would agree that daylight savings time is very mean. All right, seeing that it is now officially 2 p.m. Central Time, we will begin this annual general meeting. So hello, everyone. My name is Ashley Chavon-Gray. I am the board president for Folk Alliance International, and I use she, they pronouns. And I would like to welcome everyone by joining us today for our Folk Alliance International 2025 annual general meeting. By means of a visual description, I have orange and pink hair. I'm wearing a black sweater with strawberries on it on a very chaotic and colorful background. And having verified that we have a quorum, which is a majority of our whole 21 member board of directors, I officially call this meeting to order at 2 p.m. Central Time. I want to begin by acknowledging the complexity and privilege of gathering online and the legacy of colonization embedded within the technologies and structures and ways of thinking that we use every single day. We acknowledge that our office is located in Kansas City on the ancestral indigenous lands of the Osage, Kanaka, Kickapoo, and Ochita-Saquon nations. I am personally speaking to you today from what is now known as New Orleans, Louisiana, Wilbancha, and the traditional lands, the Chimichita, Choctaw, and United Homa Nations. We, as members participating in today's Zoom, who are able to comment in the chat and will be able to vote using our polling system. We also have non-voting members and stakeholders viewing today's AGM on YouTube. And so we invite all of our attendees to find out more about the traditional stewards of the land in which they join us on from today. And you can find that information by going to nativelands.ca, and we can share that in the chat box now. The first order of business is the approval of our agenda. Since our meeting is virtual, in order for each vote, all of our voting members will see a little pop-up on our screen after we have our official motion, where you'll be asked to select one of three options. We remind small, medium, and large group membership organizations that only the designated official representative should cast the organization's vote. For our first motion, I move that we approve the agenda of the Folk Alliance International agenda. I'm so sorry, words today are not going so well with this lack of voice. I move that we approve the agenda of the Folk Alliance International as circulated to the membership in advance, posted on the website, and shown on the screen just momentarily ago. Do I have a second from any of our board of directors?
Second.
Thank you so much, Armenius. All right, folks. So there has been a motion by Armenius. Is there any additional or discussion or business to note? If not, there is a pop-up on the screen. So please choose in favor, opposed, or abstain from a vote. We'll just take a moment for folks to vote on that poll. Also loving seeing all the love happening in the chat, and greetings for folks far and wide. And I cannot see the pop-up screen for when voting is complete. So folks, please let me know when we are good to go.
Okay, good to go. We have 94% participation, or actually 88% participation with 94% in favor.
Wonderful. In that case, the motion approves. Thank you so much, everyone. Next up is our approval of our minutes from our 2024 AGM, which was held online on March 6, 2024. These minutes were posted on our website and linked in the agenda, which was distributed to all members. The minutes also included a list of those present from last year's meeting. We hope that everyone has had a chance to review them. As president, I move that we approve the minutes of the 2024 AGM as circulated. Do we have a second?
I'll second.
Thank you so much, Dee. The motion has been seconded by Dee. Are there any questions or corrections to the minutes at this time? Great. Seeing as there are none, we will move to a vote. So members, you will see a poll on your screen. Please take a moment to mark your vote before we display the result. And Jennifer, I'll look towards you for when we are good to go with our percentages there.
We are at 93% participation with 87% in favor and 13% abstaining.
All right, wonderful. In that case, considering that is a majority of those present, the motion is approved. All right, y'all. I would like to now move on to our president's report. So it was exciting to see so many of you in Montreal less than 2 weeks ago, and it was truly a pleasure to be in community with so many of you. For those of you that were unable to join us in person, I'd love to just take an opportunity to introduce you to our wonderful board of directors, both incoming and retiring directors who dedicate their time and energy in serving Folk Alliance International. First, I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge our retiring directors and thank them for their service. First up, we have Bo Bledsoe. Bo joined the board in 2022, initially appointed to complete the remaining term of another board member before serving an additional 2-year term. Over his 3-year tenure, Bo has been an active member of the Programming Committee, Global Relations Committee, and our Regions Committee. Thank you so much, Bo. Next up is Lynn Singari. Lynn has served on the board for an impressive 8 years, first appointed in 2017 before being elected in both 2019 and 2022. In her final 2 years of service on the board, she's brought her expertise and leadership to the executive committee as our member at large. Lynn's impact spans multiple committees, including development, regions, awards, and programming. Thank you so much, Lynn. Next up, we have Iona Fife. Iona was elected to the board in 2022. Iona has served a full term on our board of directors. She served on the governance committee, our board alumni and member relations committee, and the global relations committee. As an advocate for folk traditions and international collaboration, Iona's contributions have helped strengthen our community and global ties. Thank you so much, Iona. Then we have Sarah Leishman. Sarah was elected in 2019, serving 2 terms on our board, making a lasting impact with Folk Alliance International. As our development committee chair, she's played a crucial role in fundraising, and she's served on finance committee, board alumni, member relations, and our governance committee. Thanks so much, Sarah. Then we have Gerald Torres. Gerald first joined our board of directors in 2019 as an appointed member before being elected in 2022. As the co-chair of our governance committee, he's supported shaping board operations and policies, and he's also served on our global relations committee and our awards committee. Thank you so much, Gerald. And last but not least, we have Guillermo Subaste. who was elected to our board in 2022. Guillermo served on the board alumni and member relations committee, our awards committee, and our programming committee. Thank you so much, Guillermo. And let's just take a moment to give a huge thank you to all of our retiring directors for all of the service and the work that they've put into our board. Thank you so much. We really appreciate all of you. Now I'd like to acknowledge the board and to introduce our newest incoming directors who are officially seated as of today's AGM. First and foremost, every board has an executive committee that acts on behalf of the board between board meetings and per our bylaws serve 2-year XCOM terms. In addition to myself, our incoming executive committee is as follows. We have Charlie Moshbrook as our vice president. We have Rosalind Dennett as our secretary. Dee Fretwell is our treasurer. And Lai Canals is our member at large. And I would like to thank Reed Wick for serving as our vice president for the past few years. Reed has decided to step down from his position in his last year of board service to make room for new voices on our XCOM. And thank you so much, Reed, for serving as our vice president for the past few years. We really appreciate it. And then if our remaining directors would put their hands up as I call their names, that would be much appreciated. The rest of our continuing board includes Ayapa Bindata, Elizabeth Kawine, Mariah Zapp, Rosalind Dennett, Dee Fretwell, Therese Lagama, Art Menius, Charlie Mossbrook, Ann Powers, Caroline Randall Williams, Brandy Waller-Pace, and Reed Wick. And while we are sad to lose the collective knowledge and friendship of this year's outgoing directors, our re-elected members to our board, our incumbent directors, are Lai Canals and Tina Wroblewski. Let's give them a lot of love, y'all. And then we're also thrilled to welcome an incredible new lineup of faces to our board of directors. These new directors include Abby Altman, and feel free to wave if you want to, Clayton Shelvin, Tafara Waller-Muhammad, Mary Lowman Bragg, Robert Midas, and Hillary Saunders. And so I just want to give a huge, profound, and heartfelt thanks to all of the remarkable aforementioned individuals for their time and dedication. Words truly cannot express how much of a pleasure it is to work alongside each and every one of you. Thank you so much for your time and dedication to this board of directors and to this organization. And now, without much further ado, I am going to invite our executive director, Jennifer Rowe, for the executive director report.
Thank you, Ashley. Good afternoon, everyone. It's truly an honor to be here for my first AGM as the executive director at Folk Alliance. I want to express my sincere gratitude to the board for entrusting me with this role and for their unwavering support. Just a couple weeks ago, many of us gathered in Montreal for what was an unforgettable conference. We navigated snowbanks, some of us not so well, embraced a new hotel, and demonstrated the resilience and adaptability to define our community. While the location change presented financial challenges, losses in sponsorship dollars and registrations, added expenses, and missed revenue opportunities, we still managed to host a remarkable event. It was true testament to our strong team, our ability to pivot, and most importantly, the power of our folk community. We launched the conference with the International Folk Music Awards on Wednesday night, a celebration of artists and organizations who contributed to our field in meaningful ways. In a time of global political uncertainty, folk music remains a critical voice for truth and justice. I highly recommend that you watch the award show to be inspired by the words of our many recipients. You can watch the award show on our YouTube channel, and I think Alex is going to be putting that in the chat soon. The theme this year was Illuminate. It was inspired by the Northern Lights, a symbol of interconnectedness and awe. Our community was encouraged to channel the same sense of wonder into their work, fueling artistic expression and social change. Throughout the conference, we had exceptional daytime programming that aligned with this theme. A highlight was our keynote conversation with Allison Russell, interviewed by Ann Powers. That's available on YouTube. Please, it's a beautiful conversation. Take a moment to watch it. And Alex is putting that in the chat as well. On the screen are some conference statistics that I'm sure you've had a chance to review. I'm not going to go over one by one, but I want to point out that our attendance grew about 8% over last year. This year, we're proud to welcome back the Black American Music Summit, the International Indigenous Music Summit that hosted their inaugural summit at our 2019 conference in Montreal, and the full day legal summit, which provided CLE credits for attending lawyers. And if you're interested in learning more about the International Indigenous Music Summit, we'll put the link in the chat for that as well. And if you attended the conference, please take a moment to complete our survey. Your feedback is essential for making the future conferences even better. And that link is being placed in the chat. A full conference report will be available on our website next month. And Lily, you can take down the screen if you want to. Focal Alliance is not just about annual conference activities. We provide year-round programming as well, including valuable webinars that are accessible via our YouTube channel. We'll put the link in the chat to our YouTube channel. We are a US-based organization, and Focal Alliance continues to engage in US advocacy efforts, serving on multiple coalitions addressing artist visas, ticketing reform, and artificial intelligence, among other issues. These coalitions are made up of many cultural organizations throughout the US. Our board advocacy committee, chaired by Ayapa, plans to expand these efforts in the upcoming year. We hope to encourage our membership to become more active personally in advocating. We partnered again with AGM Jeunesse Musicale International to host the 4th annual Ethno USA. That was in September of last year. The next one is coming up September 4th through 15th. It will be the 5th annual, taking place in Greensboro, North Carolina. The artists will perform at the North Carolina Folk Festival. Applications are now open, and I think the link is in the chat. Monthly, Focal Alliance compiles the folk radio chart. February's chart hopefully will be out either later today or tomorrow. We are working with a group of folk DJs to test a new way to collect data with the desire to make the charts more relevant and increase DJ participation moving forward. We also provide other member benefits, including support letters for artists applying for US work visas. Additionally, we have 50 organizations participating in our IRS group exemption program that provides them nonprofit status, and 87 small organizations utilize our house concert agreement for PROs. More details about these benefits can be found on our website. And Focal Alliance has 5 North American regions who serve our membership by their own activities throughout the year, along with hosting regional conferences. In December 2023, we convened an in-person retreat with our North American regional leaders, followed by another meeting just a little over a month ago in January 2025 to discuss challenges and opportunities, as well as working on updating our regional affiliate agreement. A draft affiliate agreement has been finalized and is now under review with our regional boards, with the goal of signing a final agreement by June 30th of this year. The agreement includes sharing of membership revenue going back to May of 2024 when Focal Alliance increased our membership dues, and that is very exciting to be in that point. For more information about our North American regions, as well as the Nordic Focal Alliance, please visit our website. Upcoming regional conference includes the Nordic Focal Alliance, which is April 2nd through 4th, and the Southeast Regional Focal Alliance is May 15th through 18th. The other regional conferences are in the fall of 2025. We are also thrilled to partner with all 6 regions again this year to host Folk Plus, which we did last year. It's a virtual conference that's taking place June 17th through 18th, so please stay tuned for more details of that. Next year, our conference will take place in New Orleans from January 21st through 25th. I want to acknowledge that many of our non-US members have expressed concern about traveling to the US under the current administration. We understand and appreciate this concern. Folk music is, after all, rooted in protest. If you cannot join us in New Orleans, we hope to find other ways to connect with you so that our community can stay strong together. Our team will be meeting later this month to finalize our dates and deadlines for the 2026 conference, as well as other activities throughout the year. So please make sure that you are on our mailing list to keep up to date. And there's a link to sign up for our mailing list in the chat. I'm incredibly excited about the future of Focal Alliance and our commitment to serving our members beyond just the annual conference. Over the next several months, we'll be seeking feedback to ensure Our membership remains valuable throughout the year, and you're always welcome to reach out to our staff directly to share feedback at any time of the year. We want to hear from you. My email address is jennifer@folk.org, and our general email address is fai@folk.org. And I think Alex also put that in the chat. And I want to extend a heartfelt thank you to our board of directors. Their dedication and collaborative spirit were evident in our in-person board meeting before the conference. I have full confidence in their leadership. A special thank you to our outgoing executive committee, Ashley, Reed, Dee, Rosalind, and Lynn, for their guidance and support over the past year. Finally, I want to recognize our incredible team. Our staff and contractors work tirelessly to support our members and bring the conference to life. Pictured on our screen is our full-time staff members. It starts with Jared, Alex in the back, me, Tisha, Scott McDowell, Nick, who's our publicist, Cindy in the front row next to Eve, and Marina and Lily. This team works year-round to make things happy. Eve and Scott joined our team in June of last year and quickly jumped in. We also have a conference team that supports us. We had a publicist in Canada, Jeremy, who was with us this year, was fabulous, along with Jim, Roisin, Tressa, Jonathan Campbell, Janice Jolie, Claire, Kylie, Scott, Lawanda, Renata, Adele, and Tess. It is an amazing team that do everything from advancing our artists to making sure our volunteers get to their shifts. It's a very large event that we put on and only can do it through the support of our contractors and staff. Thank you all for being here today and your continued dedication to folk music in our community. And I really look forward to working with you over the next year. Back to you, Ashley.
Thank you so much, Jennifer. Appreciate it. We are now going to be moving on over to Dee for our treasurer's report. Dee, take it away.
Awesome, thank you. I just found my I Heart Montreal little flag. I don't know if you can see the little leaf. Oh, it's a little pin I picked up in Canada. Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Dee Carrion, formerly Fretwell. I might be Fretwell again. We'll see. FAI's treasurer. I've held this position simply for 1 year since the last AGM in 2024, and I get the great honor of presenting the treasurer's report on the unaudited financials of our fiscal year for 2024. That fiscal year runs July 1st of 2023 through June 30th of 2024. Overall, the board has had approved a budget with a projected loss of just a minor amount of $5,000 for that fiscal year of 24. However, we concluded with a significant profit. And while our financials are still pending that formal audit, we are confident that the final results reflect a positive outcome. These positive results are attributed in large part to higher than expected donations. We had a temporary reduction in staffing where we were down 1 staff member for a year, and expenses remained rather close to projected budgeted projections, which is really exciting. I think we all know it can be very difficult to do sometimes. Generated profit will be added to our reserves. In regards to our financial position and investments, FAI maintains its funds in an insured cash sweep account. We are in the process of transferring $250,000 of that into an investment account that is aligned with our organizational values. Additionally, we're going to be investing another $250,000 into a somewhere between a 6 to 9 month CD, ensuring financial stability, while also earning some returns for us. Looking at our financial summary, Lily, see, that was perfect. Thank you. You can see the income listed there with line items associated. Some key insights. You'll notice that 58% of our revenue came from conference-related income, such as registrations and sponsorships. 3.79%, so almost 4% came from membership dues. A little over 27% were derived from donations, grants, and additional fundraising efforts. And the remaining revenue sources that you see include organizations and programs such as Ethno USA, other programs, and additional miscellaneous incomes. Moving on to the expenses. You can see line items listed as well. For these expense insights, take a look at 78% of our expenses related to program services, including the conference and year-round programming. Just under 20% covered general administration and management costs. and 2.25% was allocated towards fundraising efforts. As we look to the fiscal year for 2025, which started in July 1st of 2024 and will end this June 30th, 2025, we're ending on a strong financial note from 2024. But with that said, as we have already said previously, fiscal year 25 is presenting some significant challenges, and we are forecasting
I think she didn't want to say that number out loud, maybe, Dee? You froze. Ashley, do you have the report in front of you?
I'm trying to find the report really quickly.
Here.
This is part of technology and limitations in home internet. So I am also looking for this as well. Jennifer, we'll see if who gets to it first.
I'm on the page. I'm just not to the end bottom yet. So the significant challenges were forecasting a substantial loss due to the move from the Fairmont to the Sheraton, which added unexpected expenses and impacted revenue. And the team had to shift focus from logistical challenges as a mood, limiting our efforts to increasing registration and securing sponsorship. And registration growth was initially 10 to 12% over the previous year, and then it dropped to only 8% in December after the move. And then uncertainty around the $50,000 grant from the National Endowment for the Arts. We are unsure if we'll get that due to our DI related language in the grant. We have been told that it's currently under review, which I guess is a standard process. We just don't know what that's going to look like. Despite the challenges, our operating funds remain healthy, and we continue to prioritize sound financial management to navigate the year ahead. And that is it for the treasurer's report.
Thank you so much for finishing out that report, Jennifer. And then I think, Dee is back. Dee, we just finished out the report for you, but any closing words now that you've returned? You paused at a very dramatic time.
Yeah, I'm only here for the good stuff, friends. No, I'm just kidding. My apologies. I don't know what happened there. Do I need to say anything more besides thank you for having me? And I appreciate your patience and kindness.
That is wonderful. Thanks so much, Dee, and thanks, Jennifer, for jumping in there. All right, folks. So our next section of our AGM is our additional business section. So as folks know, we moved our annual general meeting to a virtual format starting in 2021 as a way for us to gather and meet in the midst of the pandemic. And we continued this practice ever since as a way for more community members to access the event and not be required to be at our conference to be an active participant. As no new business was declared, we are opening up the floor for general comments or questions, which we encourage you to share in the chat, raising a hand, or using the Q&A feature, which I see that we have 7 questions in the queue already. And so I did see that there were a few submitted before, and so we'll just go in order if that works. The first question I saw came from Mara that asked about how will the Trump DEI executive order affect FAI? Jennifer already acknowledged about the NEA grant, but Jennifer, I would love for you to feel free to jump in here as well for anything additional.
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, Focal Alliance has no intent of changing our practice and our values. DI is a value of our organization. So we are discussing internally whether or not we apply for the next NEA cycle, which is upcoming this month, and deciding whether or not it makes sense. We are, again, if we submit an application, it will have language that supports diversity, equity, and inclusion and access. So I do not see a scenario where Focal Alliance will change who we are in response to the Trump administration.
Thanks so much for that question, Mara. The next question I saw in here was, are there plans to make changes to the way the folk charts is processed and or the method in which the playlists are submitted? So I know that Jennifer has already mentioned that we're words today, folks. We're already pilot testing something with radio DJs. Art Muniz does chair our radio subcommittee. Art, would you like to add anything to this question?
Yes, Jennifer is working on developing a system that allow us to compile our charts much more quickly and with less manual effort, which is what the holdup is when Jennifer was referring to hoping to get the chart out today for February. It's because of all the validation to make sure the numbers are accurate we have to do under the current system. So we are working to develop a much simpler system and less idiosyncratic, shall we say, that'll work a lot quicker. And we are putting together a group to test that.
Thanks so much. And I'm going to move on to our next question on here. Comes from Michael Kornfeld. Michael asks, any efforts being undertaken with respect to seeking to engage in discussion with PROs, chiefly ASCAP and BMI, regarding extending the agreement with house concerts to include small venues, coffee houses, and nonprofit concert series? Jennifer, would you like to jump in here on this one?
We did discuss that in our advocacy committee meeting on site at the conference. There is definitely a desire to have these conversations. Right now, there are more PROs that are coming into play as well. So I know some of our small venues are not only hearing from ASCAP and BMI, they're also hearing from Alltrack and GMR. So it's even far more complicated, but we are having those conversations. It is probably as slow as it was, Michael, when you were on the board. But we're hoping to open those conversations up specifically with ASCAP and BMI.
And thanks so much for keeping that question alive, Michael. Really appreciate it. And just emphasizing what Laura had noted in the chat. Michael also asked about the new regional agreement and the sharing of money with FAI's regional affiliates, which Jennifer had mentioned earlier. Reed, as one of your final acts as vice president, would you like to add anything else to the conversation? Now that you're as our region chair and passing the baton to Charlie, would you like to name anything else in regards to the regional agreement? Jennifer mentioned that the new agreement will be signed by June 30, but would love to pass anything to you.
Sure, thanks. That is our goal, to have that done. For those who have been around Folk Alliance for a long time, you know that it took upwards of, 10 years to get the last one done. Our goal was to streamline the process. We've been working really closely with the regional leaders over the last year plus. We've had 2 in-person meetings in addition to pretty much bi-monthly Zoom meetings. And at the aforementioned meeting we hosted in New Orleans in January, we went through the entire agreement, and I think everybody's pretty much on the same page. And so we're really hopeful that all of the region boards will sign off or not have any major changes. But I think we're in good shape to wrap that up by the end of our fiscal year. And I just want to give a thank you to all the regional leadership and Folk Alliance leadership for embracing this process and really trying to move it along and not keep it stalled out as it had the last time we all went through. But yeah, they all went through. So, and I think you're going to be in great hands with Charlie. He brings a whole bunch of regional experience as having been a leader of farm for a long time, and I know it's in good hands. So I'll be happy to hand that off as of today. Thank you, Charlie.
Thanks so much, Reed. Really appreciate it. And I just want to reiterate and emphasize, it has been just a delight working with our regional leaders. That last regional leader retreat was wonderful. And I do encourage folks to please attend our regional conferences. You get regular updates via email. And I just want to give a lot of love and shout out to all of our regional leaders for all of the dedication and time that they put into our wonderful folk community. Great. I'm going to move right along with questions, and I see questions keep popping up in the chat. Thank you so much, folks. And Jill, I saw that shout out to Surfa and May. And if you're a regional leader here, please feel free to drop in your dates in the chat. I saw that Paul asked a question of many small venues and house concerts report shrinking attendance with the results leading to many venues giving up due to the low attendance. What has or will FAI do to reach new audiences and or re-energizing previous audiences? So this is a question in regards to membership and attendance. I will defer to folks here in the room if anyone would like to jump in. Jennifer, I'm happy to pass to you on that one as well.
I think this goes to the power of our community and realizing that we all don't have an individual answer, but we're better coming together and networking with each other. That's the value of our peer sessions, of connecting with each other to figure out what folks have found to be beneficial. If you have ideas of panels and webinars that you would like us to focus on during this upcoming year, please send us an email at fai@folk.org so that we can find experts in this field to help answer those questions, because I'm certainly not an expert on new audiences. There are other folks in our community that are. So we would love to help make those connections as part of how we serve our members.
Thanks so much, Jennifer. And Art, I mean, you are our chair of our membership and board alumni committee. So I also want to make space for you to chat through anything that has come up in our membership meetings recently. And then Reed, I'll pass to you.
Yes, we're very excited about the work we're doing with board alumni and starting on the oral history collection for Folk Alliance, and we hope to produce the results of the 2029 conference in our Mystery City. So that is tremendously exciting to me. And we'll be talking very seriously about how best to serve our members' needs in this time, how to address these thorny problems that, like Jennifer says, we could do a lot better addressing together than alone. So there's a lot of work to be done, and I look forward to doing it.
Thanks so much, Art. And Reed, would you like to add in anything?
Well, I just wanted to go back to Paul's question. Being able to offer more value in our membership is, I think, really important to the board. And I appreciate that question because I wonder if we could do some, membership-wide programming that actually bring in, as you were saying, bring in some, as Jen was saying, bring in some experts. And we could actually maybe do a webinar, or maybe we could do some training with the regional leadership, which we have started doing. So I just think that those are important questions to ask. And, I would love for us as a board and as an organization to try and find ways to address those issues because it impacts all of us in our ecosystem. So just wanted to throw that out there.
Thanks so much, Reed. All right, we're going to move on to our next set of questions. And thanks so much, folks, for keeping on submitting so many great questions to our board and to our staff. Really appreciate this direct interface with all of you about what you're passionate about and what you're curious about. I see that Chris asked a couple of questions. Are you going to include music publishers who are members of BMI and ASCAP and IFA members? I'm not sure what this is in relation to. Is this in relation to?
I'm not sure what that means either.
Chris, if you don't mind clarifying the specifics of your question, that would be super awesome. I see noting music clubs in the larger chat, but any specifics in regards to this question would be helpful so that we can best answer your question. So I'm going to come back to this. I'll circle back to this question once we have a little bit more clarification here. In the meantime, I'm going to jump over to a question from an anonymous attendee that says, can you explain if the folk chart process involves DJs submitting their playlist directly to FAI or uses another method besides submitting to the folk DJ listserv, i.e. via Spintron?
Yeah, that is the kind of system we're working to develop, is to use the Spinitron technology to provide a consistent platform for inputting the chart data.
But it's currently being pulled from the Folk DJ listserv and placed in an Excel spreadsheet, and there are lots of errors as it goes from the listserv to the spreadsheet. 16 to 20,000 lines of data that is reviewed monthly. It's a lot of data. And that's why we're excited to do something like Spinatron, where Folk Alliance would be essentially our own radio station and allow our DJs to input their data through that.
Great, thank you so much. And I think we are still waiting for clarification from Chris regarding the question and if it was in regards to house concerts. So in the meantime, I'm going to jump over to Carrie Estrin had put into our questions. I'd like to know about the future dates of FAI being at the end of January. They do conflict with several events overseas. YRAS, Americana UK, Showcase Scotland, Celtic Connections, and Tradfest. Is there any flexibility for future years to move out of the end of January? Our overseas members are really important, and those conferences are important options for those who tend to not have to choose. Jennifer, would you be down to talk about conference dates?
Yeah, absolutely. So we have 5 years that are contracted. Out of the 7 years, 5 are already signed. So I don't think that there is much room to move those. However, we know that this is a concern. Our plan is to send a survey to our membership to understand what those conflicts might be, and if folks are opposed to that. We know that many people cannot attend our conference every year, and that's okay. We understand that is part of navigating. We always overlap with something, whether it's an event in Europe or Polestar or the Recording Academy Grammys event. There are often times where we overlap with events and people have to make choices. One of the main reasons why we shifted to January was to have some consistency, and also understanding that our Black artists in our community, February is the most profitable month in the US because it's Black History Month. And many of our Black artists have had to make choices to come to our conference or get paid for the work that they're doing. So that was another way that we could add value. We are in conversation. In fact, I have a meeting, Alex and I have a meeting next week with the Russo Show, and we do not overlap them or Americana US. Really, our overlap is with Showcase Scotland. That is our biggest overlap, and we are in communication with them as well. And trying to figure out, like, is there a way for us to shift our dates in those 2 empty years? There's no known what we're going to do at this point, but it's always good to keep that communication open.
Thanks so much for raising that question, Carrie. And again, we are definitely looking into more of this for those open years. I see that Chris provided us with clarification. Thank you, Chris. Chris noted that when we stated about working with PRO groups, are we going to contact music publishers for input instead of PRO companies? They work as a club owner and are in touch locally with some of their problems, and they would and can include some ideas and some of the problems club owners are having to get people to go out. Seems to be a problem with misunderstanding exactly what publishers do. So I think that's more on the venue house concert question from earlier. Chris, to your question there, it seems to me that we are definitely looking into this from our advocacy level. Jennifer, it looks like you unmuted and you might can add some color to.
I was just going to say, if there's something that you would like to see us do, please reach out to us. I am not as familiar with the issues that you're raising in here. I'd love to have a deeper conversation so I can understand the nuances. And, as I mentioned earlier, Folk Alliance is involved in different advocacy groups, and part of that is about PROs as well. So it's good to bring up these issues with other folks that are experiencing similar issues and concerns that might have more answers than what I can provide right now. So feel free to send me an email. It's jennifer@folk.org.
Thanks so much. I see Kathy typed a question in regarding the conference, which was awesome this year. I've heard some bands who are discouraged at having full showcase rooms, lots of great connections and support with/from their friends, but few connections/bookings with presenters. The expense being high for the event, it makes them consider if they will reconsider if they'll return. I did not showcase, but I'm relaying conversations with others, and this is not on the conference survey. I think, as Jennifer said, a group of smart people in the community might do better working on this. Art, did you want to add to that?
Yeah, it's really important to evaluate your Folk Alliance conference results over a series of years. If you're looking immediately after the conference, you're just seeing a tiny part of the picture. Because, I've been searching for work there for many years, and sometimes it's 2, 3, 4 years later that gig comes through from a showcase you did much earlier. So I would caution folks not to be too hasty in evaluating their conference experience. Most of the gigs come in later, not there at the conference.
I want to echo what Art is saying. That's very true. That's conversations that we've also had internally to make sure that we're better communicating that with our attendees so they realize that there is a commitment, and this is one of the strengths of Folk Alliance is our community. But that also sometimes takes a little while to learn how to work within our community. But coming for multiple years is typically the way that it happens.
And I want to add to that Folk Alliance has invested for several years in programs to do a lot of outreach to presenters to make sure that they are there. Ultimately, we can't guide their buying decisions, but we put a lot of work into making sure that they're in the house. So it's kind of work that goes unseen, but it is a part of the ecosystem that we really invest in.
And Mary, I saw your hand was up as well.
Yeah, I just wanted to add that the qualifiers for takeaways and success are not often what we think they're going to be. And I want to just follow up and say it's not always a whole year until you come back to the conference whereby something excellent will happen as a result of the conference you just attended. And so I'm a big fan of the sort of catalog of experiences and who did I meet and who did I say hello to, and not just the people who I think are going to pay me dollars, but people that are simply, as Jennifer was saying, like in the community, and ways to get your network from here to here. And it does take time. I just wanted to reiterate that is all.
Thanks, Mary. And Iona, I saw you had your hand up as well.
Hi, yeah, absolutely everything that Mary just said. I guess in my capacity as an artist and a board member, cycling off, of course, I guess I've been coming since 2020. And I, like many artists, felt really overwhelmed, and I still do socially. But more and more I realize that I'm seeing similar faces. I'm saying hello to them. I've got the confidence to say hi. And at some of the not just work opportunities, but some of the connections I made hasn't been directly after the yearly conference. It's maybe been at the Folk Unlocked that happened during the pandemic. It's maybe been, a friend of a friend who said, "Oh, Iona's in town and she needs a house concert. Have you heard of her?" And then they go, "Oh, it might not even be someone who's ever even been to Folk Alliance, but they know someone that's been there and they've seen you." And it's so much bigger than we think. And if we think so myopically as, "Oh, well, I was here and I expected a few emails or a few connections or someone to give me their card after I get off stage at the conference," it just doesn't work like that anymore. People are different after COVID, but there is real value in being able to come back and interact with a year-long programming, which is why I'm really excited that we've got Folk Plus in June, so that you can tap into the community that you've already made. So I would say, Kathy, to reassure your friends and colleagues, and just keep the heat for a wee bit. That's all I got to say there.
Thanks, Iona. And Dee, I see your hands raised as well.
Yeah, as a definite non-artist, but somebody who is booked and looked for artists and have come to Folk Alliance specifically for booking artists, there's a lot of you at the conference, and it's really hard to see everyone, and it's even harder to keep track. And then sometimes I've run into people, but it's like late at night and you may not be in your most communicative place for talking business. And so I encourage everybody to just see each other at our best, as the best we can be during conference time, but also developing those relationships, as everybody's saying, afterwards or during. And those who are, tasked with looking and scouting for these great up and coming, amazing musicians and artists, we are all talking to each other as well. So you may make a great connection with one person who's booking for a festival or a venue, but we're all buddies. Everybody's friends, right? And so it's all about relationship, and just have faith that we're trying our very best for sure. Just keep chasing, keep hanging out with us. We really want to find you.
Thanks, T. And I just want to echo some things that have been named in the chat for folks. The regional conferences are also another great way to build community. We also have many of our international friends and partners that host conferences as well, if you're internationally based, and do encourage folks to go to these spaces. And also just uplifting and acknowledging other folks, naming more presenters and booking agents in attendance. And of course, we all can rally behind and support and bring in more faces to join this community, to build this further, and also uplifting business cards and handing those things out are great reminders to folks that you meet along the way. As always, we love feedback and suggestions about the conference and folks' experiences. And Kathy, I am just like noting and acknowledging specifically your note about showcasing artists in particular. And so getting that feedback from them is definitely vital. So thank you so much, folks. And I'm seeing a lot of folks that have booked artists at Folk Alliance dropping into the chat as well. Yes, thank you so much. I actually want to tie into, this feels really relevant, so I'm just going to jump to this question. Someone noted, as a presenter, I've never been asked if I book FAI conference artists. I do. Is this information tracked? I will defer to our staff on this one.
Yeah, that's a great question. We should be surveying our presenters. I just slacked our team about that. A lot of it is, it's hard to gather data from people when there isn't a, for example, some conferences bring in presenters and there's an expectation, or if they're getting government funding, there's an expectation to give a report. But we have a lot of anecdotal information, but not data. So we will be doing more of that. And thanks for sharing that. We absolutely should be doing that.
And I just want to note, a big focus and conversation point that came up a lot during our board meetings this year was data, and really getting more robust data to support all of our wonderful community. So again, I cannot emphasize enough how much we want to hear from you. That person-to-person connection with each and every one of you about your experiences is so valuable to us as we grow as an organization. I just want to also uplift comments in the Q&A from Carrie Estrin, just noting that she can vouch that presenters have booked artists in her showcase room over the years that wouldn't have happened if the artists weren't in those showcases, and that she's invested in FAI. Just noting being consistent, showing up and preparing, because the awards keep coming, and some of those booking can be a year to 3 years later, as the timeline is for those venues. Thanks, Carrie, for uplifting that. All right, so I'm going to move on over. We had a question in the comments from Gary, which also ties in perfectly with a pre-submitted question about implementing virtual registration, including showcases for future conferences. And there are many senior and or disabled members who are unable to attend. And I also saw one in regards to like reasonable accommodations for disabled attendees. There is our Folk Plus conference that is going to be coming up in June 17th and 18th. And our staff has also noted that there are other virtual offerings that are in the works for as a year-round organization. Jennifer, it looks like you unmuted, so I'm going to pass on over to you.
So a couple of years ago, right in the middle of the pandemic, we did a hybrid conference. And we had some attendance, but frankly, it was extremely challenging for our team to manage a conference on site and online. and realized that we could be more effective by actually being available, which is why we're doing Folk Plus. That allows our team to actually spend time with our community members online. So we hope to grow that, and it is in collaboration, as we mentioned, with our regions as well. And throughout the year, as Ashley mentioned, we do have online opportunities. There are some events during our conference that we do stream live. We stream our International Folk Music Awards live this year, and this year we also did our keynote live. We hope to have more opportunities like that in the future, but there is an added expense doing that, frankly. And we have to weigh the actual cost of doing that and the return on that, and if it makes sense. It's a very costly thing. Again, we're hoping to engage more people in Folk Plus. For accommodations for disabled folks, we do ask questions in our online registration form if there's anything that they need, and I'm certainly happy to make accommodations. Please reach out to us directly at fai@folk.org if you have a specific question. I'd be more than happy to talk to you and figure out what works.
Thanks, Jennifer. And again, I'm going to emphasize the sentence I just said a moment ago. We love hearing from y'all. We really do. And so these are the kinds of things that we want to hear about. What kind of accommodations are helpful for you in these virtual environments? How do you like to engage? These are conversations that we love to have. So thank you so much for uplifting them in our AGM today. Looks like we may have gotten through all of our questions. And again, I want to thank everyone that is here joining us today on Zoom for all of your thoughtful questions, feedback in this conversation. Alex, would you like to jump on in? I saw your hand raised.
Yeah, I also just wanted to highlight a couple of the comments so that it's on the video and in the recording and everything. Just what Lynn Signori said about from an agent's perspective, having signed artists at FAI, but as Art said, it doesn't always happen immediately. I've also seen artists there that I was able to suggest as support for some of my other artist tours. I think it's really just some of these comments are reflective of kind of the ecosystem approach to career development. Same thing from Cassandra Kubinski. The bookings come as a result of networking and a couple of years later often. So I just think what it calls to me is both explaining what the opportunity is, but also artist education too, that helps set expectations of how the showcase is important, but the work is, a lot of it is around that, and a lot of the results aren't immediate, but quite deep.
Thanks, Alex. And I saw one final question. Mary Sue, yes, we know. The question was, how about the app? I'm sorry I'm not trying to chuckle. We all had our challenges with the app and can acknowledge the challenges there. Jennifer, I saw you unmuted. Go right ahead.
Answer this. So what people didn't know, and what we probably should have shared with the folks, is that it was a beta app this year, and we had to pivot and make choices based on the resources that we had, and decided to go with the beta app. And I am so incredibly excited to have the app ready for us next year, because they will be 100 times better. The group that we work with, Festival Pro, their team is incredibly responsive to us and did as much as they could in the short amount of time. So next year, we have some of our members who have done app work are working with us to provide feedback, which is great. And always, again, send us feedback if you'd like to. But it's going to be stellar next year. And the app developer, Tushar, was actually at our conference and has attended for several years. And it's going to be good next year, right? Right, Scott?
Scott's giving us the thumbs up.
And I wanted to add as a coda to that, there have been issues with other apps that we've used too, and many of them have been behind the scenes or in front of the scenes. So it's in this iteration, it gave us a real opportunity to get in at the ground floor and to make sure that we're really able to address Folk Alliance's very specific needs. We have so much data more than any other festival or conference. I mean, it's incredible.
2,700 performances in the app. It's insane with over 700 artists. It's a lot of data.
And I just want to uplift some notes in the chat. Someone, Dan and Faith, noted it would be great if the app that we use and those used by the regions could understand that our conference day spans past midnight. Noted, very much so noted. And I appreciate folks in the chat noting just the new version drops within the chat. So thank you for the feedback. Mara asked a question in the Q&A. Is there a way to save the chat? I am not the host of this webinar, so I don't want to answer that question incorrectly.
I'm not sure if you click on the three buttons at the bottom of the chat screen, does it allow you to save it? I can save it, but I'm not sure if that's just me because I'm a host.
Same. I am also not sure. Oh, it doesn't do that for participants. Okay.
We could always download it and send it out later with the recap email.
Thank you, Scott.
Thanks, Scott. Appreciate it. Okay. All right. Seeing as there are no further questions, and again, our email inboxes are always open, and we love to hear from y'all. I'm going to keep saying this as many times as possible. We love to hear from y'all, so feel free to email us with your thoughts. These things are things that help us along the way in doing our work throughout the year, and we really appreciate hearing from all of you. Before we conclude today's AGM, I just want to say how much this community really energizes me, and to be just surrounded by such a passionate and caring community of individuals who care about this music, care about the people in this community. This is why we are here at Folk Alliance International. So thank you so much for being here. Thank you so much for tuning in today, for your questions, for your feedback, for your generosity of your time, and more importantly, thank you for being a part of this ever-growing community. We truly appreciate you. With that said, do I have a motion to adjourn? Tafara, Reed, just all the hands at once. Thank you so much, everyone. We'll see many of you soon at Folk Plus on June 17th and 18th and at our regional conferences. Thanks so much, everyone. We appreciate you.